Hey folks, Todd here. Today we're going to install the BAKFlip MX4 on this 2024 Ford Ranger. The tools we'll be using for this installation are a ratchet with a T30 Torx bit, a 10mm wrench, and a Phillips head screwdriver. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're going to start off at the bulkhead just behind the cab of the truck. Here's our bulkhead, the top surface. We want to make sure it's completely clean. Any kind of soap residue or wax buildup needs to be removed. What we're going to do is use a rubbing alcohol. I'm just going to wipe this surface down, get it completely clean. Next, we're going to locate our bulkhead seal out of our kit. Now, you're going to notice that it's not perfectly square. We've got the adhesive down the bottom that's going to stick to the bulkhead. We also want to make sure that it is all the way at the edge of the bulkhead and all the way up against the bed cap. The vertical portion, the straight portion, needs to face to the inside of the bed of the truck, and the two rounded portions, the one faces towards the cab and one faces straight up. So what we're going to do is go ahead and peel back a little bit of the vinyl protectant seal, push it all the way up against the bed cap, and slide it down to the bulkhead. Then peel a little bit at a time and set it in place right on top of the leading edge of the bulkhead. And this will bring it all the way to the bed cap on the other side. And bear down all the way across. It gives us the best adhesion. Now we can go ahead and move to the rail. Okay, so we're going to start on the driver's side. Here is our driver's side rail. Now, I just want to give you a heads up real quick on how this goes on. We've got a seal right here that goes up against the bed cap. This portion is kind of a shelf that hangs on top, so it's going to kind of hang on top of the bed cap like so. Up at the front, we have a drain cup because this basically works as a drain rail so the water can run out. And we have a drain tube that would be attaching to that drain cup. And then you can route that drain tube out a kick out down at the bottom if you don't have what we have, which is the Husky Premium bed liner. When the rail comes up to the front, we can just tuck that behind the fiber liner, which is completely waterproof, so it won't let any inside, and it'll just run out through weep holes in the bottom of the truck. So that's what we're going to do here. Next, what we want to do is attach our clamps. Now, as we do that, I want to point out we're going to attach at these 3 points. We've got a factory fastener here, one here, the one closer to the cab between these two, and then one at the very back. The way those are going to come out is you're just going to take a Phillips head screwdriver and push it into the tip of the fastener. And if you reach on the inside, you can kind of squeeze that fastener, and if you turn that Phillips head screwdriver, it'll start pushing the fastener out. And then you just kind of pull it out by hand. So we're going to do that with all 3 of our fasteners, where we're going to have a clamp. All right, next we're going to find our clamps out of our kit, and we're going to disassemble them. So we've got a bolt going through. The bolt has a washer and then a serrated flange nut on the inside. We're going to go ahead and take all that apart. We're going to have 3 clamps per side, so I've already got 2 of them pulled apart. Then what we're going to do is take and line up our rail. With the rail in place, we can see where our first clamp is going to install. It's going to install in this location right here. Now that clamp is going to insert inside the channel. We're going to press in, and that's going to allow us to lock that clamp into the channel. All right, then we're going to hang it back into place and make sure that it's right in front of the hole that we are going to be installing into. All right, we're going to do the same thing with the next 2 clamps. Raise it up into the rail, bear down, and lock it in place. And final clamp, the exact same thing. All right, next what we're going to do is take the bolt that we removed from the clamp. It's going to go through the clamp and then in through the hole in the side of the bed of the truck. And on the back side, we're going to take our serrated flange nut and thread that into place. And we're going to get it finger tight for right now. Make sure also that our rail is pulled all the way forward. Make any adjustments to the clamps necessary to get that rail all the way up against the bulkhead. I'm going to go ahead and move our prop rod out of the way. Now when we're putting this in finger tight, you also want to make sure that this is pushed all the way up against the bed cap. I'm going to go ahead and put this back up in place and set the front one. And again, we're doing the exact same process. And then we're going to come back and tighten everything down using a T30. And we're going to torque everything down to about 8 foot-pounds. And we're going to take that T30. And get that 8 foot-pounds. Move back to the next one. All right, now if that nut does spin, just use a 10mm wrench, hold that nut in place, and you can go ahead and get it to the proper torque setting, 8 foot-pounds. All right, now let's go ahead and get the cover and get that set up. Okay, so this is the way the cover is going to come out of the box. If you look here, I've got a couple of straps with some clips on them. This is where we want to focus our attention. So I'm just going to fold this open. I'm going to fold this panel out. Now we've got a couple of pieces of tape, one over here, one over on this side. We're going to peel that off, set that to the side. That's going to expose some holes down the bottom. And we're going to go ahead and remove the tape from the top as well. Now in your kit, you're going to have a little bag that's got some clip receivers and hardware in them. We're going to pull all that out. And we're going to put these together. So we're going to take our clip receiver, take one of our adhesive seals. We're going to peel that off of the backing. We're going to place that right on top, making sure we're going right over top of the holes. Then we're going to take our clip receiver, we're going to line it up over top of the holes. Now we got the threaded posts underneath, so we can take the Phillips head screws out of our kit, line them up over top of the holes. Take our Phillips head screwdriver and just get those nice and snug. No need to over tighten this, just get where it's connected and snug. And once we're done, we're going to repeat the same for the opposite side over there. All right, so let's pick it up and set it on top of the bed caps. Now, as we set it in place, we're probably going to hear it click when the latches attach to the rails. All right, we're going to make sure it's centered side to side. And one panel at a time, we're going to fold it back towards the tailgate. As we go, each panel, make sure it's centered. All right, I'm going to go ahead and lift it up, push it towards the bulkhead, and make sure that the tailgate will close and the cover works at the tailgate. We've got a bulb seal right here that's going to catch the tailgate. So all we need to do is make sure it's going to make contact with that bulb seal. and make sure that it also will close on top of the closed tailgate. All right, now we've got it set in place. Double check, make sure everything is centered properly. And then we're going to very gently fold it towards the cab of the truck. I'll go ahead and remove the packing material out of the way as we go. And we want to make sure we're very careful not to shift it out of position, because right now is exactly where we want it for the proper alignment. Now we're going to go underneath and attach the clamps to secure the cover to the rails. Okay, so here we are on the driver's side, just behind the bulkhead. This is our first panel that lays down on top of our rail. You'll notice we've got a channel over here. Same exact things going on the passenger side. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the cover retaining clamps that are in our kit. They look just like this. What we're going to do is we're going to loosen up that star knob and then push up. What that does is that pushes that carriage bolt up so that we can slide that carriage bolt into this track. I have to loosen it up a little bit to get the carriage bolt in. Once that carriage bolt is in the track, we also want to make sure the notch on the back side of the cover retaining clamp is inside the channel. Then we're going to slide it over to the rail, loosen it up to where the groove in the cover retaining clamp can capture the rail. So we're going to do it just like this. Now it's up inside the rail. We're going to go ahead and tighten that down. Just get it nice and snug. You don't need to over tighten it. All right, so now the rail is seated inside the groove on the cover retaining clamp, and the notch is inside the channel. Repeat the same process on the opposite side. Okay, so next what we need to do is attach our rubber bumpers to the back side of the panel that folds up against the cab. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the latch, rotate it up towards the cab to see where it would make contact. So I'm going to put one right at the very center, one towards the outside on this side, and one towards the outside over here. So let me bring this back down. All three of those areas we're going to wipe down with some rubbing alcohol. All right, we're going to go ahead and peel away the adhesive protector. I'll set this one right here. Once you set it in place, you want to bear down. You get good adhesion. That way it doesn't fall off later. And go ahead and rotate back up and make sure it buffers well against the cab. Now in this position, I want to also go ahead and show you real quick how to set the prop rods in case you want to drive with the cover propped up against the cab of the truck. Basically what we're going to do is pull loose our prop rod, drop it in between this isolator here, slide that down, that traps the prop rod, and then just cinch it down. You don't need to over tighten it, and that will trap the cover and keep it propped up against the cab of the truck. If you do that on both sides, you're safe to drive down the highway. When you're done, loosen that up, slide this up, and then snug that down again. Make sure you snug it down, otherwise that can vibrate out and then drop down into the bed of the truck. Then we're going to reinstall our prop rod. Well, that concludes the installation. If you have any questions, call the experts or visit us online.